Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode in our previous year's question analysis series where we don't just talk about how to write answers but how to own them in the exam hall. Now today's question is one of those either or types that tests both awareness and structure. You are given a choice between A. Write an account on major environmental issues or B. Explain various protection agencies of human rights. This question has already appeared in 2023 semester regular exam of BA6 Global Politics, that is a core paper of political science. So if you get a question like this, how are you going to answer this? These two are really powerful themes, both deeply relevant to what's happening in the world today, and both showing up regularly in university and competitive exams as we have just seen in this paper of OU exams. We are going to break these down step by step. No jargon, no fluff, just clear structure, real world examples and tips on how to write answers that hit the right notes. Alright, let's begin with environmental issues. Start wide with the definition, move into three specific problems, explain their causes, effects and examples, and then wrap up with solutions and a smart conclusion. Simple, right? So first up, what are environmental issues? Environmental issues are basically problems that damage the planet's natural systems. They mess up the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the climate we depend on. And most of these issues caused by us, human activities. Whether it's factories, cars, dumping waste, or cutting down forests, our development has come at a big environmental cost. So climate change, let's talk about it. The big one. It's not just a buzzword, it's a real long-term shift in temperatures and weather patterns across the globe. But what causes it? There are some causes, and out of which we will be highlighting few. For example, huge amounts of carbon dioxide emissions from industries and vehicles is one of the causes for climate change. Second, of course, is deforestation. When you cut trees, you remove nature's air filters. Greenhouse gases, they trap heat like a blanket over the earth. And what is the effect then? Higher global temperatures, unpredictable weather, floods in one region, droughts in another, melting glaciers, rising sea levels threaten coastal cities. So what example we can give here? Think about the extreme heat waves in Europe or the terrifying wildfires in Australia. These aren't random events. They are connected to climate change. And remember, this issue affects everyone, rich or poor, north or south. That's why it's a global concern. The second thing is water pollution. This is another crisis hiding in plain sight. We all know water is essential, but what happens when it turns toxic? So what are the causes? Industries dumping waste into rivers is one of the most important causes. Pesticides from farms flowing into water bodies, then oil spills that destroy marine ecosystems. So what is the effect then? Massive fish deaths and damage to biodiversity, people falling sick, diseases like cholera and typhoid spread faster. In some places, people just don't have clean water to drink anymore. For example, the Ganga River in India, considered holy by millions of us, is still heavily polluted despite massive cleanup campaigns. Why this is so? Because waste is still flowing into daily. Alright, water pollution isn't just an environmental issue, it's a public health disaster. So next issue we have is air pollution, the air we breathe. Air pollution has become part of daily life in cities, but it shouldn't be. What are the causes? Burning of fossil fuels by cars, factories, even power plants. Deforestation, again, fewer trees, more carbon dioxides. Industrial emissions and chemical releases. So what is the effect of air pollution? Respiratory diseases. Have you ever wondered why asthma is on the rise? It's because of the air pollution. Acid rain, it doesn't just sound scary, it destroys crops and buildings. Smoke, like the one that blankets Delhi every winter, it's not just about the environmental problems anymore. It's about our survival and well-being. So what are the global solutions for environmental issues? What's the world doing about all this? Well, there are few steps taken. For example, the Paris Agreement in 2015, wherein countries agreed to limit global warming by reducing carbon emissions. Then, of course, there is plastic ban. Many nations are cracking down on single-use plastics. Then afforestation, a fancy word for planting more trees. And at an individual level, what are we doing all? We can make a difference too through reduced consumption, recycling, and making eco-conscious choices. Alright, so this is the understanding of environmental problems we are facing. But how are you going to write the answer in an exam? If you are writing this in an exam, here's your simple three-step structure. Start with a clear definition of environmental issues, then pick three major problems, that is climate change, water, and air pollution. Then explain each with causes, effects, and examples. And end your question's answer with global solutions and a short conclusion. Structured, informative, and balanced. Alright, so this was all about environmental issues. Now let's move on to the next segment, that is agencies of human rights. The question was what? Explain various protection agencies of human rights. So let's talk about human rights. It's just as relevant, especially in times when we are constantly hearing about injustice, war, and inequality and displacement. So what are human rights? Human rights are those basic freedoms and entitlements every person should have just by being human. They cut across all barriers, gender, nationality, religion, or you name it. What are the examples? Right to life, right to freedom of speech, right to education, right to dignity and work. These rights are universal, and when they are violated, the consequences are often severe. Alright, so after having this brief understanding of human rights and with some examples, we can talk about now the major agencies that work to protect these rights globally and nationally. First agency we have is that of United Nations Human Rights Council, that is UNHRC. The UNHRC is a powerful global body. Its job is to monitor, investigate, and raise awareness about human rights violations across the world. But what does it do? Alright, it does investigations. Investigations about what? Investigations about violations in conflict zones. Then it puts pressure on governments, and of course it promotes international laws for protection of rights. For example, it has reported regularly on the Syrian conflict, highlighting abuses by multiple sides. It also called out issues in Ukraine during the ongoing war. It's not perfect, but it's one of the few platforms where global accountability is possible. So that was your UNHRC. Second agency is Amnesty International. It's an independent NGO, not linked to any government, and that gives it teeth. What does it do? It investigates torture, arbitrary arrests, discrimination, and it pushes for the release of political prisoners and mobilizes public support through campaigns. For example, Amnesty has uncovered police brutality, and its reports often spark international debates and protests. They are like the whistleblowers of the human rights world. Third agency is, of course, National Human Rights Commission in India, NHRC, India. Back home in India, we have the NHRC, a statutory body. Remember, it is a statutory body. So this statutory body works to protect human rights at the national level. What does it do? It takes up cases of custodial deaths, police excesses. It recommends reforms in laws and policies. It provides relief to victims. For example, NHRC stepped in during protests and reported on cases of excessive use of force, trying to balance the scale. It plays a crucial watchdog role, even if it sometimes struggles against systemic challenges. Apart from these three bodies which are just mentioned, let's go through again. United Nations Human Rights Council, that is UNHRC. Second one, Amnesty International. Third, National Human Rights Commission of India. Apart from this, there are some other important bodies that include International Court of Justice, ICJ. It handles disputes between states, including those related to human rights. Then we have European Court of Human Rights. It ensures protection within the EU. These bodies give us hope that somewhere someone is watching and fighting for justice. So these were the agencies of human rights protection, but how are you going to write your answer in exam? You structure your answer like this. Define human rights briefly, then explain 3-4 key agencies as we have done just here in this video session, then explain their roles and real examples, and end your answer by showing why these agencies matter, especially in today's world. We looked at two very different but deeply connected issues. First included environmental challenges that threaten our future, and second about human rights protection that safeguards our dignity. Both demand awareness, action, and empathy. Before you go, here is a thought. Do you think human rights agencies are actually effective today, or are they just symbolic? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your take. Also, if this breakdown helped you, please like, share, and hit subscribe for more content that focuses on exam clarity and real-world insight. Till next time, stay curious, stay aware.